Good afternoon, and welcome to our Securing Tech Futures Roundtable. The focus is on embracing diversity in cybersecurity, presented by Scholas Diverse by Design and Enterprise Talent Solutions. I'm your host, Omanase MacArthur, Senior Director of Scholas Diverse by Design, and I am genuinely excited about today's discussion, and I hope you are too. Scholas Diverse by Design is the preeminent leadership resource in how to deliver and retain diverse technology talent. We underscore the importance of action through data, insights, and partnerships to improve the tech industry, leading to increased innovation, greater productivity, higher retention, improved decision making, and better business outcomes. According to research from Boston Consulting Group, diversity is a key driver of innovation, finding that diverse teams produce a minimum of 19% more revenue. We know the war for tech talent continues, and the biggest shortage remains within the field of cybersecurity. Approximately 750,000 or more cybersecurity jobs are open in the United States, but only enough cybersecurity workers to fill around 70% of them. Perscolas Enterprise Talent Solutions helps companies not only find the new talent they need, but also upskill and reskill the talent they already have. Nearly every company in America needs tech talent, and our enterprise experts can help you fill your entry or mid-level tech roles quickly and efficiently. Additionally, we've launched a cybersecurity registered apprenticeship program to close this talent gap and create greater opportunities for entry into the field of cybersecurity. This month, at Black History Month, here at Perscolas, we're dedicated to illuminating the crucial role of Black technologists in cybersecurity, continuing our mission to unlock potential and transform the tech landscape. By doing this, we honor our commitment to fostering a future rich in Black tech innovation. We stand on the shoulders of those who came before, unlock potential, and blaze a path for today's technologists to succeed and thrive. As of today, Perscolas has trained over 20,000 technologists, 85% of whom identify as people of color. I'm proud to share that in 2022 alone, Perscolas trained more than 1,600 Black technologists for high growth careers in technology. Perscolas has been successful training in cybersecurity skills and connecting graduates to employers for over 10 years, and 52% of our all-time cybersecurity learners identify as Black. That has allowed us to contribute to companies' bottom lines actively, but so much more still needs to be done. According to a CompTIA report in 2022, Black people comprise of 12% of US workforce, but only 8% of employees in tech jobs and 3% of technology C-suite executives. I'm confident that today's roundtable will bring to light best practices, strategies, and solutions to create more diverse cybersecurity teams, unlocking the potential for Black tech futures. And that brings me to our guests. I'm honored to be joined by powerhouse Black leaders for this dynamic roundtable conversation. At this moment, I would like to welcome Alvin Abrams, Director of Networking and Security at Alvarez and Marsal. Leading a dynamic global team of network and security engineers, Alvin oversees critical initiatives to fortify the digital landscape infrastructure and safeguard the interests of the firm's employees and clients. Alvin attended Pace University and obtained a certificate in cybersecurity for managers from MIT. With over 2 decades of experience in information technology, Alvin has helped provide pivotal roles as a systems engineer, network engineer, security engineer, and technical instructor. Next, we welcome to our virtual stage, Luis Arzu. He began his career in technology with Perscolas in 1996, working as a computer technician in training. Since his time with Perscolas, Luis has worked with various organizations, focusing on rapidly changing digital environments and cybersecurity threats in leadership capacity. Luis holds a bachelor's degree in computer science from Thomas Edison State University, a master's degree in information security and assurance, a master's in IT management from Western Governors University, and an executive MBA from the University of Connecticut. Welcome to the stage. And to complete our roundtable for today is Eddie Bright Jr. Eddie, the global CEO and partner of AppTask Global Workforce Solutions, a leading provider of staffing and workforce solutions and the nation's premier minority Black-owned and veteran-certified global supplier provider. In 2023, staffing industry analysts added Eddie Bright Jr. to its national DE&I influencers US and Canada list. ITSMF, the leading organization for the growth and empowerment of Black technology executives, awarded Eddie Executive Member of the Year. Eddie also served as a United States Marine Corps Communications Officer. Welcome and thank you for your service, Eddie. To get started, I'd like to take a moment to uplift that there are a number of Black women technologists making waves in the cybersecurity industry. Today, I want to acknowledge the contributions of Mary Cheney, a notable Black woman technologist. Mary has significantly impacted the field of cybersecurity. With a career spanning over 25 years, Cheney has dedicated herself to the cybersecurity and information privacy sectors, where her contributions have been profound and far-reaching. As a former FBI special agent focused on cybercrime, Cheney has firsthand experience in tackling some of the most challenging cybersecurity threats. Cheney is also the founder and CEO of Minorities in Cybersecurity, which focuses on leadership and career development for minorities, particularly women in cybersecurity. Through her work, she has advocated for diversity and inclusion within cybersecurity, monitoring and inspiring the next inspiring the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. For me, representation is everything, and there is such power in seeing people that look like you in such roles as hers. I'm personally inspired and motivated by the work and contributions of Mary. So Alvin, when considering where you are now in your career, can you reflect on who or what motivated or inspired you to delve into the technology industry?
First, first, I'd like to first of all thank you for inviting me to this
Absolutely.
to this talk. I'm honored to be here with these distinguished gentlemen here who I've gotten to meet, and talk to over the last couple of weeks. So that's a great question. I think, I can't think of someone specifically, but in terms of, I grew up in, Guyana, South America, a little village in the countryside, and technology, we were a little technology challenged, again, simple life. But, I remember distinctly the first time I saw the secondhand move on the clock, how, how scared I was. But, we immigrated to the United States, in the late 80s, and I was always a good student in math and science. I remember a high school teacher. If I were to choose one person that got me started in this field, it was a high school teacher. I think his name was Mr. Berman. He was our computer teacher, and he recommended myself and unbeknownst to me, another student for a computer operations job at a local toy company. And so he didn't tell us the time to show up or anything like that, but I happened to show up first. I interviewed with the company. They gave me the job. As I was leaving, the other student was just coming in, right? And later on, I went on to find out that they would have hired whoever came in first. They trusted the word of that teacher that much. So that got me started in IT, in computers. Since I was in high school, I went away to college to do finance, and then realized that I wanted to do computer, so I switched back to computer. So I'm more motivated to stay in cybersecurity because, again, of the real importance cybersecurity plays in our lives today.
Thank you for sharing that, Alvin. And I like that you shout out the teacher. Sometimes we underestimate the impact that educators have in our lives. So that's very important. Thank you for plugging that. Eddie, can you share with us who motivated and inspired you to join technology?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you and the Scholas family for having
Absolutely.
me today. And likewise, I'm honored to be here with Alvin and with Luis. This may seem weird, but I've always had a passion for business, and I was scared of technology. And I go back to the old mainframes and COBOL and Fortran and things that don't even exist anymore. And I began to see that become the wave of supporting information in business. So I was intimidated by that. And, I didn't know if I could do well. in it. And I got the chance to learn through someone out of McKinsey and Company, and began to get an understanding of what technology was in the 90s. So I was way behind the curve, client server, which is no longer the word anymore. I mean, the technology anymore was coming out. So I was intimidated, but I made a commitment. I want to learn this. I want to learn this because what I did realize quickly was that this could help me better as a businessman, and that technology, I could easily get information, although they were working off clunkers and mainframes and big machines that were rolling out things back in the 80s and 90s. But I knew it could help me be a good businessman. So out of that, I just, said, hey, let me learn this. Let me see how this helps
Mm-hmm.
business. Let me see, basically, how does this help me make money? And that drove my passion to actually get and become familiar with technology and trends and methodologies and many of the tools that we use today.
Thank you for sharing that, Eddie. And your journey, although you call it weird, I'll say unique. What inspired you to come into the field of technology? And it doesn't seem like you are intimidated anymore at all. So we're happy to have you here. Louise, I'm happy
It depends on who I'm with.
well, you're in
But
good company today.
but I can always relate it to business, even when I don't
Absolutely.
understand terms or new things that come out. If you tell me how you're using it and where you're using it, I can sort of, get something contiguous with that, and quickly understand, how it can help business.
I like that perspective. Louise, welcome again, and please share what motivated and inspired you to join technology.
Thank you as well. And again, I'm honored as well to be here alongside both Alvin and Eddie. Coincidentally, my first introduction to technology came through a little known organization back in 1996 called Scholas. And that was my first introduction into technology. I was basically an assemblyman, putting together computers, loading them into the operating systems, and then we would shrink wrap them up and send them out to schools, right? That's kind of how we started. But I would kind of credit my decision to delve into technology to three things. One is my passion for problem solving. I think my fascination with technology really stems from its potential to solve complex problems, not only for business, but for your own personal life. I've always been a huge fan of continuous learning. So the nature of technology is that it's ever evolving and it offers an endless opportunity for learning and growth. And then the third thing I would say is it's the diversity of career opportunities that you find when you delve into technology, anything ranging from you're pursuing a passion in cybersecurity to software development, web development, robotics, et cetera, and now artificial intelligence. It's endless, right? So you're definitely going to find your place in one niche or the other within technology, and that's what really drove me towards the industry.
Louise, that's a phenomenal story. And the fact that you have some grassroots here at Scholas, of course, like you said, that once little known organization. Since then, we've grown so much, and happy to have you here coming full circle with us. Louise, can you share a thought on what you think the current state of diversity is in cybersecurity and why it's crucial for us to focus on enhancing diversity within the field?
Yes, certainly. I think, from my perspective, the current state of diversity in cybersecurity really presents kind of like a nuanced landscape. It's marked by both progress and persistent challenges, right? So
Yeah.
while efforts to promote diversity and inclusion have gained some traction in the recent years, I think significant disparities persist across various demographic groups within the cybersecurity workforce. Think that in many sectors of cybersecurity, including technical roles such as security engineering, incident response, women, racial and ethnic minorities, individuals from low-income backgrounds, and other underrepresented groups remain significantly underrepresented. I think that this lack of diversity not only reflects a broader societal inequality, but also poses significant implications for the effectiveness and resilience of cybersecurity practices and solutions. I think it's crucial for us to really focus on enhancing diversity within cybersecurity for several reasons. I would say number one, innovation and problem solving, right? Diverse teams bring a breadth of perspectives, experiences, and insights to cybersecurity challenges. If you look at the threat landscape, significantly much more complex. The landscape is characterized by rapidly evolving threats and adversaries. And I think that to effectively mitigate risk and defend against cyber attacks, organizations have to leverage diverse perspectives. And I would say that the third thing is trust and public confidence. In an era of heightened cybersecurity threats and data breaches, I think public trust and confidence in cybersecurity practices are paramount. I think that by prioritizing diversity and inclusion, organizations can demonstrate their commitment to
Absolutely.
both fairness, transparency, accountability, and thereby bolster trust among stakeholders and the overall broader community.
Luis, thank you, because I like that you acknowledge that it is when there's a lack of diversity, it's a systemic situation that's happening there. So thank you for lifting that. Eddie, tell me, in your view, what is the current state of diversity in cybersecurity and why it's crucial for us to focus on enhancing the diversity in the field?
I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Luis said. I have
Mhm.
some markers that I try to
Okay.
let control how I think. So number one, data is everything.
Absolutely agree.
Every entity that wants to do something effectively wants to be able to succeed and wants to be able to keep up with their competitors, must understand their data. Data is power. Now, I'll give you something I think by. I like to say that knowledge is power. Let's put knowledge, let's put data as power. But let's put a line underneath that says the proper use of data is power. Then when we talk about data, when we talk about cybersecurity, when we talk about protecting the most valuable thing we have, which is data, when we talk about protecting it, I use the word why. There's something I like to say. He who knows how will always have a job. He who knows why
Yes.
will always be his boss. So
Yes.
everything that we do when we talk about data, cybersecurity, we must understand why. And then when we talk about diversity, and we put diversity into play,
Right.
we've got 5 different generations in the workplace right now, and
This is
each
so
one
true.
of them think differently. Millennials think differently than Generation Z. And Generation Z is the first generation who have had access to technology their entire lives. I don't call them teenagers, I call them screenagers because they live here and they can do anything to your data from right here. And if I was to really get funky, we would talk about Generation A or Alpha. They'll be the first generation that's influenced by artificial intelligence. Now, I'm
Yes.
putting all that out there because we must be conscious of not just diversity when we think in terms of gender and ethnicity, economic status, but we must think of diversity in terms of thought and creativity. So we need to bring that diversity of thought into our workplaces. We need to engage it and we need to invest to understand it because maybe that'll help us protect our data and to have those within our ecosystem protecting our data. We've got to think,
Eddie,
we
yes.
think it's one way. I'm a baby boomer. I'm trying to get to a victory lap. You look at Luis and Alvin, they're Generation Zers, they're young, strong, they've got the whole world in front of their careers. But I need to be able to tap into that diverse landscape. And to go one step further, and Luis hit it right on the head, 75% of organizations with diverse leadership are projected to be highly profitable until the year 2025. 75%. So organizations need to take advantage of that, especially these young people who can do anything they want to do to you right from here.
Absolutely. Eddie, you were dropping some gems there. He who knows why. That's one good takeaway from that, what you just said. And the screenager part is also very important. I don't think some young people realize that somebody's protecting your music, your playlist. Somebody out there is working in cyber to protect the data that you hold precious. As we look at the news, we constantly see more and more data breaches at big companies, right? So to your point, we have a lot of need for the diverse perspective of thought. Alvin, I would really love to hear what your view of the current state of diversity is in cybersecurity as well.
Thank you again. Great answers by Luis and Eddie. Um, of course, we've made progress, right?
Yeah.
So we can't sit here and say no progress has been made. I came from a conference just this week, a diverse pool of individuals across different backgrounds, races, um, you know, um, um, male, female, black, white, Asian, the gamut. So we've made progress, but there's still a lot of progress that's left to be made, right? There's
Yeah.
still this significant workforce or shortage, gap, right? And so that has to be addressed. And the only way I see of addressing that gap, right, is increasing diversity, right? And the other thing I was thinking, diversity, it doesn't happen just by us wishing, that it's to make it so, right? Everything happens by design. You a car, our lives, everything is by design. So to not to plug diversity by diverse by design, but it has to
It's
be
okay. Plug us,
something.
Alvin.
Right.
It has to be something that's that has to be well designed, well thought of, and executed. And metrics have to be defined to measure the success of diversity. So I think again, Luis said without diversity we cannot address the changing landscape of cyber threats. So I'm encouraged. Every day I see, I go into a classroom or I go to stop by Scholas and I see it in action. So, yes, that's where
Thank you. Thank you for lifting that. Louise, I'm going to ask you if you can share a pivotal moment in your career that underscored the importance of diversity in tech for you, that really made it personal to you.
Sure, I think, and I kind of landed in this space. I think that one pivotal moment I had at a prior organization occurred. It was during a collaborative project that ended up being a response to an event that threatened our organization's cybersecurity posture. And during brainstorming sessions, you kind of see different individuals from different cultural backgrounds, genders, and professional experiences offering unique insights and approaches to really solving the problem. And it became evident to me that kind of each member's distinct perspective really enriched our collective understanding of the issue and helped us to develop a much more comprehensive solution. In particular, I distinctly recall we had a colleague from a non-traditional tech background propose a novel approach to really identify and mitigate the sophisticated attack we were seeing. And I think that their unconventional perspective challenged our assumptions, right? Because, the more insights and perspectives you have, the more kind of inclined you are to look at things much more objectively. And it really challenged our perspective and prompted us to reevaluate our strategies. And that ultimately led to a much more effective response.
Thank you for sharing that, Louise, because I don't think we all recognize that these things are happening and how other people who may not look like you actually may have a better perspective that may help you actually get that critical thinking, analysis, and solutions to the finish line. So thank you for sharing that. Alvin, I know you shared how your teacher was an inspiration to you coming into technology, but when would you say there was the moment in your career that you were like, oh, this needs to be more diverse in technology? Where did that hit you at?
I can't think of any specific moment.
Okay.
What I can do, I can reflect on, as I lead this team of individuals across the world, basically, right? When I sit there and I look at the org chart, right, of just my group, and I see the diversity, I see, I have men, I have women, people in India, London, New York, Texas, right? So I see this within my team and my group. So that that motivates me, and it encourages me. And just recently, a specific experience. Again, I mentioned that I attended that conference in Nashville, and and again, it was C-level and director and above, and there was one activity I didn't participate in it. I wish I did. But they took, they gave the attendees an opportunity to work with, a Grammy-winning songwriter, producer to create a song, right?
Okay.
And the song that they created, again, these are C-level individuals. The song that they created, the title, that says "We Are Better Together," and that just struck me as, here are, high-level C-level individuals, and brought together to come up with a song, and they, sort of like a "We Are the World" moment. They came up with "We Are Better Together," and that is an awesome phrase. Diversity is our strength, and so that's, for me, that's, it just continues to remind me, to underscore the importance, of diversity, of the work that we do, that you do, that the people that are joining us on this webinar are doing, and continue to do. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, Alvin, I think that's a really good point you make. We are better together. We can do more, we can accomplish more. And just being able to remind ourselves that, I think organizations may have to have to sit down, maybe attend the conference like you did, to have to hear it, but to be reminded that yes, we can do more together. Eddie, I want to turn this next question specifically to you. In your experience as a global leader, how does diversity in tech impact an organization's bottom line?
Mm. I'm gonna say I've been given a tremendous opportunity. I've been given the opportunity of a lifetime. We here at Aptest Global, and not to give a commercial, but we are the largest Black-owned staffing
Okay.
executive search organization. And I think it was some time back, I was trying to see the big picture, and I was trying to see, how do people, you ever watch television? They call it TV programming. And I was trying to see, how are we being programmed? I stopped looking at TV and tried to see how TV's looking at us. And the one thing that stood out, they want us to buy clothes. They want us to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. They want us to go to Wendy's. They want us to wear the new style, things like that. And it made me think, well, how are they reaching us like that? And it was through technology. It was like an epiphany moment. And as I built out our organization, I wanted to make sure that we could grow talent, support talent, and place talent in 5 areas. Technology, of course, which is 76% of what we do. Accounting, which is driven by technology. Finance, which is driven by technology. HR, which is driven by technology. And then procurement, which is the people that tell you how to buy technology. And so I began to realize that diversity in this space was an area where we aren't being promoted, trained, empowered, encouraged as we ought. That's why the work that Scholas is doing is so critically important, because we have to have our best minds operating from our zones of genius and influencing the way people think, because technology controls everything. Everything from the glasses that you're wearing right now to your statues in the back have an aspect of technology that helped either produce it, keep it, enhance it, sell it, re-engineer it. So we have become a people that is totally led by technology and diversity. Our diversity, our great minds, I'll say it again, us operating from our zone of genius should be front and center. It's just the way I feel, because others have been living off our zone of genius, just our natural personas, for hundreds of years anyway. But I just feel like this is the way it's got to go. And then the other thing is, when we see new technology come out, who's it created for? Why is it created? How does it serve? Who has access to it first? So I believe cybersecurity is right in there. That's in the mix. Everybody wants to protect their stuff. And I think that as we become more of the leaders in this space, we'll do what we always have done. We will be able to lead and to really change the world. I just believe that. I believe there's that much power in technology.
I agree with you, Eddie, and you made a good point. Everyone wants to protect their stuff, and one thing we can say here in the U.S., everybody has a lot of stuff. Maybe some we don't
Right.
even need, but we do indeed have a lot of stuff, and we do want to work to protect it. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to give a moment, if one of our other panelists would like to chime in on this as well.
Yep. Hey, so just the kind of things that matter to an organization and the bottom line, I think if we think, I think in kind of in threes, right? If we look
Hmm.
at enhanced innovation and creativity, diverse teams definitely bring together individuals with unique perspectives and problem-solving approaches, right? And I think that this diversity for education, for organizations, fosters innovation by encouraging an exploration of new ideas and unconventional solutions. So the diverse tech teams are definitely better positioned to develop innovative products and services that meet the evolving needs and preferences of diverse customer bases. I think that businesses care a lot about that. I think that businesses care about expanded market opportunities as well. So by embracing diversity in tech, they can gain deeper insights into diverse market segments. And I know I've seen this firsthand, not only market segments, but consumer demographics. And this heightened understanding really enables companies to tailor their products and services to meet the needs of the market and drive revenue growth up. And I'd say that the last thing is improved decision making and problem solving, right? I think every organization and every individual comes across issues that they need to solve. And I think that by bringing together a diverse team makes companies much more better equipped to really adapt, remain resilient, and ultimately contribute to the improved business outcomes, which is kind of why I always kind of position diversity with the benefit and the value proposition that it brings organizations as well.
You know,
Absolutely.
and I'll say if I could even
Yeah,
add to that, something that Lewis said, um,
sure.
it's been proven, the numbers have been proven that companies that truly understand diversity, and I'll add a
Yeah.
couple of words in there as well, parity,
Hmm. Hmm.
parity and equity have proven to be 21 to 42% more profitable. Secondly, 98% of the organizations or corporate entities or companies in America, 98% are consumer facing. There is a consumer aspect to it. So
Mhm.
you've got to have people, as I like to say, behind the curtain,
Yeah.
being able to reach the audiences that you're trying to reach. That's just a fact. Also, 48%, 48%, and this is a new statistic that came out recently,
Okay.
48% of the workforce for the next 20 years is either Generation Z or immigrants. By the year 2038, 54% of America will be people of color. Now, there's something strange to that. If you take the whole United States, then that's true. But what
Okay.
if we really quickly said Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., we'll take the research triangle, Atlanta, Miami, Orlando. If we went around the country to Memphis, Birmingham, Dallas, Houston, Austin, and then went up the West Coast, those
Right.
areas are more than 50% people of color right now.
Yeah.
So all of the big
Yeah.
financial and thought centers around the country are predominated by people of color. So
Yeah.
if you do the math, corporations aren't thinking right if they try to belittle this issue of diversity. They won't be able to compete for long.
You're right, Eddie. As I say on our team here at Scholas, we often repeat we have to double down, stay 10 toes down on it when it comes to diversity, especially in the tech space. And you brought up, you or Louise brought up the market-driven component. We have to stop thinking we're not a part of the market. We're a part of the market. Like what we want drives that market. We have to see ourselves as a part of it, is what I like to remind people. Don't look at this data and think, oh, it's market driven. You are the market. What do you want? Tell the market, what it wants, and it'll drive that way. So thank you for lifting that, both of you. I appreciate that so much. as I mentioned earlier in our panel today, at Scholas, we have recently launched a registered cybersecurity apprenticeship program, which is one of the strategies for building a diverse cyber workforce for our organizations and for other organizations in need of cyber talent. So, what would you say some outside of the box strategies have you found to be effective in finding and promoting diverse cybersecurity talent? Alvin, could you go ahead and take that question for me?
Sure. I think, um, in order to, in order to address that shortage or that particular question, right? I've seen in my organization, and then especially within my group as well, diverse recruitment initiatives, right? So, actively seeking out candidates, actively seeking out candidates, with diverse backgrounds, actively engaging with, entities such as Scholas that focus on, training and educating, and upskilling minorities is one of the is a key initiative. Within my team, I count two Scholas graduates. I have three nephews that have come through Scholas. One currently works for the company as a cybersecurity engineer. Another group within the company and within IT, he's a senior manager as well, and he's a Scholas grad, right? So I've seen firsthand, a company actively engaging with, Scholas or other orgs to actually, get those candidates, look at their resumes and, and successfully hire them and they've succeeding and thriving, right? So I think, recruitment is the first thing. I think you also have to make sure, I think you mentioned mentoring and sponsorship, right? Sometimes an individual that comes in might not have all the tick boxes checked, right? Because of for whatever reason, right? But if you find someone that that's willing to mentor that particular student or that employee, mentoring, there's stats. I can't quote the stats, but we know that they exist, right? Without mentoring, a lot of people, not just in cybersecurity, across all spectrum, they'll tell you how important mentoring is. I don't care who it is. It's mentoring, coaching. Those are the real. I think giving that person a job without sort of putting those policies and those programs in place to really ensure that they will, that they can thrive and they can, you can get the best out of them. Is if you don't do that, it's worthless. But so I think again, recruitment policies, mentoring, sponsorships, it goes a very long way in addressing this issue.
Alvin, first, thank you for keeping it in the family. I love that you have so many family members who have gone through Scholas and you yourself being so active with Scholas. Appreciate that a lot and lifting up the importance of mentorship and the word sponsorship. Sometimes we get stuck at allyship. Allyship is great, but sponsorship helps you extend that hand to pick someone up and pull them in with you and take them on the journey. So thank you for lifting that. Eddie, you pointed at something in your last response about organizations who are struggling with diversity are going to start to soon see that they're not going to be as successful. And given that the population here in the US is going to become only more diverse in the future, what would you say some of those outside of the box strategies you think will be effective in finding and promoting that diverse cyber talent?
You've got to be intentional, Omanase. You got to be intentional. And it's hard because many organizations, when they think in terms of diversity, they want to check the box. And a lot of people aren't even trained to look past the way in management, to look past the way they've always thought in terms of being able to hire people that don't look like them. Don't think like them. And I'll say this as they call me an OG now. Is that what they call us old guys? Alvin, OGs, they call us OGs.
Old gals too.
Oh, that OGs, first time I was called that, I thought it was an insult. Somebody called me, yo, OG. I was like, okay, But even us that are baby boomers like ourselves, we think a certain way in terms of our younger people, and we want to be mentors. We understand legacy. We understand that we have to lift people up, and we've got to get past some of our own thinking, even amongst ourselves, to promote.
Absolutely.
So we have to be
Absolutely.
intentional. We have to be deliberately, shamelessly intentional. And we have to be able, you've heard me use the term zone of genius. I look for that in the people I hire. I look for that in the people we place. I look for that for strategic relationships, so you can promote off that instead of the fact that maybe they've got 2 earrings in their forehead and 1 in their ear and 6 underneath their chin, and they're tattooed up to their neck. So you look for that you have to be intentional when we come to diversity. And then I've been very fortunate to have the majority of my company is Black internally to most of my offices here in the United States, because diversity means certain things for the people I have in Mexico,
absolutely.
as opposed to the people I have in India, as opposed to the people I have in Germany, as opposed to the people I have in London. So you have to be intentional. And then you've got to know what the benefits are. The best conversations that I like to have around diversity are with the chief procurement officer.
Yes.
Because I can talk to him about making money. And I can show him the stats for companies that are truly diverse. And then we can talk about where he can strategically put in Black or brown or women or LGBTQ or veteran or disabled leadership. And then we can set markers and in the sand that are based on timelines to show the benefit of that. Or we can look at their diverse footprint and talk about, upskilling and reskilling them, maybe through some emotional intelligence type training or some managerial curriculum or some executive academy or something like that. But you got to be intentional, Omanase. You have to be shamelessly intentional. And then the other thing is when many of the people that are even listening today were saying, well, how do I get there? You've got to understand who's going to be your mentor. Your mentor is different than your sponsor, and your sponsor is different than your advocate. 3 different type of people in your career. And then for many of us that are young and starting our career, or we want to begin to move up, tell me your 5 great friends or your 5 great relationships at work. Who are they? Because if you've got one guy that you're sitting there and you're commiserating, not commensurate, but commiserating with,
I like what you did there.
water seeks its own level. But if you've got 5 great relationships of people that are sticking and moving, and you're asking, hey, how are you doing that? Can I spend some time? I know that's an off project. I'd like to learn more. How did your part of the business affect the business? Hey, this is what I'm doing. What have you seen happen here? Hey, I'd like to learn more. You follow what I'm saying? 5 great relationships that you've got to build as you build your career. And trust me, maybe one of those 5 will move on and take you with them. Or maybe one of those 5 will be a mentor or an advocate that'll say, hey, you know what? We're putting Omanase in that role. We're putting her, we're putting her in that role. But you've got to get off your screen, you've got to get off your desk, you got to get out of your cubicle, and you've got to be able to, we as people, because we represent diversity no matter where we are, you've got to build those 5 great relationships.
Thank you for sharing that. So it sounds like intention on both sides. Intention by the organization has to be there. And then as the talent yourself, the employee, you also have to be intentional about making those 5 connections that you just mentioned, Eddie. Louise, do you have some outside of the box strategies that you find to be effective?
Certainly Alvin and Eddie covered a large majority of it, and I wouldn't be doing any justice to kind of repeat it, but I think about it in kind of these 3 words. I think that we as an organization, as people, need to create a platform for 3 things. Number 1, learning, 2, earning, and then returning. And I think that sums it up, right? It's we've got a platform where folks can educate themselves, place themselves into the workforce, create a life for themselves, and ultimately give that back. And it's just like an endless circle. I'll be concise because certainly Eddie and Alvin covered the vast majority of it. So certainly learning, earning, and returning.
Thank you. I like that, Louis, because Louise, you're referring to a circle, bringing it back. Again, being intentional about it, activating those 5 relationships. Thank you for tapping on that for us. Alvin, as an advisory board member at Scholas Dallas, you're often involved with the collaboration between Scholas and perhaps the local employers looking to add diverse tech talent to their teams. Can you share an example of maybe a successful partnership or an initiative that has made a significant impact?
First, I think to go back to what Eddie said before, I think, well, I believe, I know that education and knowledge, well, knowledge and education is a great or maybe the greatest equalizer, right? Education and training programs that, provide the opportunities for individuals to get those skills, provide individuals from diverse backgrounds first, to gain the skills and knowledge that's needed for this career in cybersecurity is crucial and critical. Of course, there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Yeah.
So likewise, collaboration and partnership across industries, academia, government, nonprofit, sectors, and then also from professionals like ourselves, right? We have to get involved with organizations like Scholas and others, right? To collaborate and it just takes it takes a whole effort. In terms of example, again, I go back to again the people that I know specifically that I mentioned before. But then there's also students that I've seen in Scholas. I've got the chance to know and mentor. They've gone on to work at JP Morgan Chase, Checkpoint, Protiviti, Capital One, and that's just to name a few, right? And that's who I know out of just Dallas, right? So again, I think someone mentioned it. Scholas has trained probably over 25,000 people, right?
Yeah.
Over the years, and I've seen at least in 6 years in Dallas alone, several thousands, right? So I think that's my take on it. It has to take the work of many to for that success of one, right? So again, educational institutions, government, and private sector has to work together to actually make this, to make this a success.
I agree. Thank you for lifting that up, Alvin. Louise, you also have some roots here at Scholas, as you mentioned earlier on. Can you share an example of some successful partnerships or an initiative that has made a significant impact?
Yeah, most definitely. I would say around 12 years ago, I ran a summer program called Harlem SEALs for kids ages 6 to 10. And SEAL standing for strengthening every aspect of life.
Oh, I
And
love that.
program, we offered dance, so the arts, technology, a robotics program where we partnered with Scholas, and Scholas actually provided us with the computers to actually drive that program. Partnered with other institutions like Columbia University and the Point in the South Bronx to really bring and deliver these programs to these kids. And I think that the outcomes, while I ran the program for 2 years and didn't really do much after that, I can tell you that two of the kids, one, Selene, is now a business major at Howard University, entering her third year, and young man by the name of Joshua Arzu has secured his job at Volvo at the assembly division. And I'd love to kind of go back and see kind of where all those kids are, but it really starts with that, right? Like at a very young age, really setting up the pipeline to have folks just thrive in the industry. So yeah, when it comes to partnerships, certainly you're going to need partnerships across the board, tech, government, organizations, private business sector, really to come together to drive the initiatives that are going to lead to the success that we need to see here. So
Absolutely. I like the program that you mentioned. I do see more and more that we need more programs like that still, for people to get interested in technology at even younger ages. I'm seeing more funding going towards that at university level as well. And of course, here at Scholas, we're about economic mobility. So we definitely see the value in workforce development for adults looking to enter that field as well. Eddie, I would love for you to share an example. I know as a global CEO at Aptas, you have some programs happening. So tell us about some successful partnerships or initiatives that have made a significant impact.
Well, let me first of all, I'm gonna say compliment per Scholas. Um,
Thank you.
even today's production is done well. It's thoughtful. It's thought out. You've shown a lot of your personal brilliance. The
Thank you. Thank you.
responses. Let's start here. And then what Perscolis has done over the years, I'm very well aware. I've sat in on other webinars with Ken, and I got to know Jasmine and many of your
Yeah,
network across the country. And your network even is in the right places, New York and Atlanta and Dallas. I mean, you're in those places where you're speaking directly to our people and you're upskilling them and you're changing lives. And
yeah,
and the beauty is that a lot of the people that you train are staying in those communities, from what I understand. They're not
yes,
making a little bit more, they're staying in that community, which means that they're affecting communities and families. And that means that they're creating legacy and generational awareness, because when you're in technology, you have to learn. You have to have a capacity. You have to have a natural, what I call a natural curiosity, because
absolutely.
you've got to learn to keep up with your technology. Like a lot of people go to jobs because I've always heard it said, Eddie, I like that because the technology over there is sexier than where I am, which means because you always have to keep investing in yourself in tech. You have
Absolutely.
to. So let me compliment you on the great work you guys are doing. We recently started a program here where we took 10 young people from the city of Newark,
Okay.
high school graduates. And it was a conversation I had with one of my partners one day. And he said, I would love to see if we could take young kids from an underserved, underrepresented community and maybe train them to become junior recruiters. It was a 12-week program, excuse me. And the first 6 weeks was very critical because all we did in those 6 weeks, we didn't start training them on applicant tracking systems, Excel, all the different Job Diva, all the different technology tools.
Okay.
First 6 weeks was about helping them to reimagine themselves.
That's a new
That was
approach. Yes, I like that
getting them
approach.
to
Yes.
rethink the way and what I did was I brought in people from Atlanta, Tia Buckham White, Valerie Mackey, Dr. Yvette Pegues, many people that I
Hmm.
flew them up here, people that I know within my network, because I'm preaching about having that strong network, those 5, although brought 14 altogether, to help them to think differently, as well as none of the people that came in talked about their degrees. And I brought in some people that had more degrees than a thermometer. They did not talk about their degrees. They talked about being Black or a woman and how they had to drop out of college because one woman, because I had a baby, or someone, I just lost a child, or another one talked about how he went bankrupt and got kicked out of the military. They talked about the speed bumps, but they
Yeah,
talked
life
about how
happens.
you can make it. Because I started right where you are to these young people. And now it's a successful program. It was recently featured on News 12. Chris Cuomo's coming in next week from News Nation because
Wonderful.
this type of program, us giving back, has been a difference maker. And it wasn't about my degrees either, or anything like that, or being successful or not. It was about caring and being consistent. Caring,
I like that.
being consistent. And then,
I like that.
I mean, and then taking advantage, and I'm sure Alvin and Luis and Perscolas take advantage. These young people are familiar with technology. They're familiar. So you've got a baseline. Then it's a
Yeah.
matter of helping the thinking to support and grow up that baseline with some technology skills. So, let me once again just compliment Perscolas. We are doing this
We appreciate
program.
that.
It is being featured. It's been a ministry. I'll call it my ministry because it's a ministry. But we're very fortunate and blessed to be able to do it, as well as my young people are able to see Black excellence every day.
I
From
like
my
that for the
corner
future.
office, all the offices, they see, Black excellence every day. And that was important too. I wanted them to see,
Absolutely.
and a
Absolutely.
lot of the students at Perscolas are able to see that. They're able to see people that look like them operating as business people in a business environment, teaching, but they're
Yes.
able to see that excellence. And that's very important as well, because our excellence is not promoted.
No, not as often as we like. Eddie, you're hitting on some really good things. And I know we're getting close to the end. If you could, give me just a sentence of what you think, looking towards the future, what are your hopes for the role of diversity shaping cybersecurity and how we can work together?
I'll give it on this baseline. I'm gonna say it's our time.
I like that one.
It's our time.
I like that one. Thank you. I like that. Louise, can you give me a sentence when you think about looking towards the future, what are your hopes for the role of diversity in shaping cybersecurity and how we can work toward that vision?
I would say that, my hopes are that they are rooted in creating a much more inclusive, equitable, and resilient ecosystem that really reflects the diverse communities that it serves.
Thank you. Alvin, piggybacking off of Louise and Eddie, what would be the words you want to give to looking towards the future and how diversity is going to be shaping cybersecurity?
And before I do that, answer that question, just really briefly, Eddie was talking and he mentioned news. And I remember lived in New York. There was this station called 1010 Wins, and their slogan was, "You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world." So I thought of Prescolas, and Prescolas' slogan should be, you give us 15 to 19 weeks, and we can change your world, right?
All
We
right,
help you change your
Alvin, the
world. So
marketing team's listening.
and I've seen I've seen that in action. Again, thank you again and again. Great conversation, and everyone has shared, and I think we all share the same thing. My slogan is, that I learned last week is, we are better together. Working together, we can create you can be the change you want to be, you want to see, right?
Absolutely.
And so we are
Absolutely.
all change agents, and I continue to encourage us to to remember that, and we can be what we want to. We can create the future we want to, if we do it intentionally.
Thank you so much, Alvin, Louise, and Eddie. You have been tremendous roundtable guests this afternoon. Thank you for sharing your perspectives, your guidance, and your passion with us all. And I want to thank organizations that sponsor Perscola's cybersecurity training, such as JP Morgan and Chase. Alvin, you actually mentioned them earlier, and S&P Global. And also special thanks to our Diverse by Design Advisory Board member, Elaine Norman of ITSMF, for connecting us with the ITSMF Speakers Bureau. Your continued support is very much appreciated. We have heard from all of our panelists, and now I want to take a quick moment to hear from you. You will see 3 short questions as a poll on your screen. Please take a few moments to answer those on your way out. But just because our time together is coming to a close, it doesn't mean that the work stops there. There are so many ways to get involved in securing tech futures and embracing diversity in cybersecurity. First, consider Perscola's diverse talent to fill technology positions or vacancies that you have within your organizations. Our graduates embody many technical skills, from cybersecurity and IT support to Java development, software engineering, and beyond. They're ready to make a difference day one on the job. Second, commit to a 30-minute call to learn more about Perscola's enterprise talent solutions. Our talent architects are your partners in building a sustainable tech talent pipeline. And finally, get more involved with Perscola's Diverse by Design. I would love to work with you. You can get in touch by emailing diversebydesign@perscolas.org. It has been an honor to serve as your host today. Thank you for your interest and commitment to creating more Black tech futures. Thank you and enjoy your day.